Seeing what's going on in the world, I thought, especially in the UK, I thought I'm going to go to the good old conversation with self and read you a chapter that very much applies to what's going on. And bear in mind, I wrote this in 2013. The myth of bridging science and spirituality. For those who haven't read the book and for those who don't know what Conversation with Self stands for or where it comes from, those are real conversations that I have with self, with source, that I receive in a telepathic downloads after my near-death experience and years of inner searches and personal transformation. But those came after immediately, and then they've lasted for many years after my near-death experience. So it is a conversation. It's question and answer. In the book you'll see Q, and that is the place where I'm putting the questions, and A will be the answer of self. So now I'm conversing with source. I'm asking source what they think, and in parts of the book it's almost like a monologue, but it isn't, because I'm trying to translate what they're showing me. They, it's plural because they come as multitude, like everything that is in existence, and that's the correct pronoun to use, talking about using the right pronouns. So the chapter is the myth of bridging science and spirituality. When you talked about the new science, you mentioned other spiritual teachings. Did you mean Buddhism? Self, amongst others. You must invite all beliefs to the table and listen to one another. Otherwise, one is as prejudiced as the other and therefore aside. Denying the validity of others' knowledge because it does not accord with your scriptures or your lab results contradicts the very purpose of both, seeking truth and enlightenment. How could you resolve a problem if you don't know its full description? That's my place. Are you saying that the state of ignorance as to who we are is the problem, and that religion and science are the descriptions of it? That we cannot get the answer as long as they exclude each other, because the answer is in consciousness, and that implies shared knowledge of all, including the opposites? That too. What we are saying is that at some point in your history, this division did not exist, and in the same way, it doesn't today. That's a bit twisted, but I see it. We are led to believe that there is a gap between science, religion, and spirituality, when in fact they are all branches of the old tree. So the new science is not new, just as the new age is not that new either. There was a time when spirituality and science were undivided, and today, although they appear separate and in conflict, religion, science, and the New Age movement share the same agenda. Religion taught us the reliance on God's mercy. To be worthy of a good afterlife, we had to obey and sacrifice our material aspirations. And if wronged, to turn the other cheek and let God take care of it. Science, on the other hand, taught us the over-reliance on the brain and the survival of the fittest rule. Eat or be eaten. New Age adds its fear-based dependence on external forces, falling victim of their contradictions. First they say that we are all one, then they all sell crystals to protect yourself from other entities. No wonder we are so confused and in constant war with ourselves and others. On one side, we turn the cheek and wait. Then, in want of divine intervention, we run embittered to science seeking answers. At least there we can fight back. Tired of fleeing the wolves, we run into the lion's cage. The touch of a maestro, divide and conquer. Give people the illusion of an alternative and make it seem real. If not, they will look for one. And this might not sit well with the jealous God's plan or with those finding the science. Then they'll feel like they have a choice and stop asking questions, because they know what happened to those who ask them and meddle with the obscure. They're tortured, burned at the stake, imprisoned, and in our days, exterminated by public ridicule. Dish some dirt on the private life or use semantics to present the poor souls in a ridiculous light, and then they can bark for as long as they wish. No one will ever listen to them again. Why? Because they will instinctively get the message. Any association with the condemned points of view would bring their proper demise. So they will stay out of it. From turn the other cheek, we've evolved to turn the other way while it's happening. Make religion a story that will not stand the test of time to an evolving intellectual mind, to the point of making them doubt anything of a spiritual nature. By the same token, give them some scary examples of what extreme belief can do. Fundamentalism, terrorism, religious wars, which are the result of keeping them in ignorance to begin with, so part of the plan. And you can be sure that they will do the rest by themselves. Good plan. Machiavelli would be green with envy. Now we know why these two, or three if we count New Age, would never reconcile. They were meant to seem independent and in conflict to give the rebel soul the impression of having a choice. As much choice as I used to give my daughter over 3 items of clothing. Her choice was limited to one of the items I had already chosen for her. In the same way, we were presented with the apparent choices between these seemingly antagonistic branches. We had the impression of choosing if we discarded religion and ran to science. We then felt elevated if we dropped science for a spiritual approach. My daughter bested my every attempt to manipulate her choices. As if she read my intentions, she would buy her way out of my predetermined choices with a twist of her own. She would choose one of the 3 items to make me happy, usually a dress, and come with her own choice, a pair of trousers from the boys section, giving me that mischievous look when we caught someone red-handed and used their tricks against them. And she would win every time. She would get what she wanted, the trousers, and I would pay double for a choice I tried to impose upon her, which she would never wear. In the end, no matter the side we choose, each has its price. If religion restricts free will, science too has its limitations. Death. Perhaps that explains the growing number of people running to religion around their retirement time. Just as religion has created many victims, and I believe we're all its victims, science and New Age have brought their contributions too. Finally, they all speak the same language. Fear. Redeem your sins. Check to detect your cancer early. Protect yourself from evil energies. Do your penitence. Take your medication. Do your ritual. No midway, like you have devolved from source and are evolving back to it. In your journey, you are both created and creators. Look within to detect your powers. That is the truth, but will not be readily accepted by the specialists who know better what we should look for. Troubles. And what you seek, you'll eventually find. This whole game resembles one of those films where one has made a pact with the devil. If at the beginning one is charmed by the path of least resistance, in the end there is always a price. One's soul. What are the options? Live a life of self-denial and sacrifice in exchange of a fair judgment and perhaps a trip to heaven? Or live a life of abuse knowing that you will end in the same place as the rest, the grave. Each side, like a famous song says, it's a loser feeling like a winner. Until that stirring, that calling from home, that I have it all and I still feel empty, throws us back into the ring with a constant aim of waking us up. And the control agents have found a name for that too. Midlife crisis. You had one coming out of your childhood when you started to make up your mind and add 2 and 2 together. You've got over that, you'll get over this one too. Find another job, a hobby, a husband, or a wife. If you have one, you might want to change them, start afresh, and you'll see It will all make sense once again. New butterflies, few more months of passion and good sex, then a new car, maybe some plastic surgery. You'll buy some more years until you decide which son you'll take. After all, you can always ask forgiveness at the last moment. Apparently, it's all it takes. No matter the efforts we put in anesthetizing our conscience with redeemable bypasses, the closer one gets to the finishing line, the more pressing the question: who am I? And to this worrying state of being, the control science has just the answer for you. You are mentally ill, that's who you are. And we have some good labels for you. Depression is the best. We can even pay you state benefits if you choose it. Then you have the more serious one, schizophrenia, in case you see or hear things that you're not supposed to. For example, our low frequency sound experiment on your mind and body will put you in some place safe, give you plenty of goodies until you once you hear a thing. Then we have anxiety, and our favorite one size fits all we have for you, stress. Take your pick. And we've made them sound so complicated that only some of ours can help you. The psychiatrist and the psychologist. Don't worry, darlings. They'll tell you all you need to know to satisfy your thirst for knowledge. They'll answer all your how questions. How your brain got out of track. How your parents transmitted you some crappy genes. How your blender started to mix the wrong juices. And after all these savant explanations that will raise the hairs on your back, they will send you back to the source. Us. And we've got all you need. Prozac, Valium, Ritalin, to mention just a few. They'll make sure that your condition, the curiosity of who the heck you are, will remain well under control. But make sure to take your medication and don't miss your periodic visits for your prescriptions. If not, you might have a relapse. And if one gets courageous and asks, what about the alternative medicine? Guess what the answer is? Well, in some cases it might work, but only as a supplement to our treatment. If what you need is talking about yourselves, we have that covered too. We have developed so many talk therapies that will talk the soul out of you. We've made sure that you are well looked after so they won't finish with you in less than 2 years of therapy. But to tell you the truth, most last more than that. Some took 20 years. So no worries, you've got plenty of time. And to show you our goodwill, we even cover the expenses. How good is that? Well, from your pockets, of course. Like that, we are sure you won't stumble upon some lunatic outside the system that might change your glasses. What? Your spectacles that we keep adjusting from time to time to make sure you see the right thing for you, darling. Make sure you wear them and come to see us when your life doesn't make sense anymore. We've got others. Why do you think we have to continuously get to the unpleasantness of explaining to you why we need to increase taxes and prices? It's all for your good. We are working hard to keep your condition under control, and it's becoming more and more difficult. So we need some cutting-edge tech to do the job. If not, you'll risk waking up. And for this condition, we haven't got a thing. Well, we do. But you won't like it. That's chapter 17 from Conversation with Selves. And I wrote this in 2013. I want to hear your comments. How of actuality it is. And let me know what you think of it.